Hi all. Yeah, guys. Hi. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're audible. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, guys. So we'll be waiting for a few more participants to join. Until then, we can just wait for 2-3 minutes more, right? Okay, Adish, I think we can start.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So, guys, over here, I welcome you all. So glad that on an afternoon, working day afternoon, technically, a lot of you all have joined. And we also have the webinar live on YouTube. So, a lot of them are there as well. However, I think over here you can communicate, maybe text us over the chat. So, here we have Adish, sir. He's one of the CFAs himself, and he's been teaching with Zell for a long time now. He would be sharing a lot of information about CFA. He'd be talking about technical stuff on CFA, and then even I can help you out on what exactly and how to go about CFA. Right. So I'm Sushil Prabhakar. I am taking care of the CFA in Zell for the admissions and counseling specifically, and Adish is one of our faculties, right? So I'll give it over to Adish already so that he can give you all the information about CFA. Yeah. Adish, you want to take over?
Yeah, sure, Sushil. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So can you please confirm if I'm audible, visible?
Yeah, I can see you very clearly and I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, so just give me a moment. Okay. So I'll be sharing my screen. Let me know as it's visible, and then I can start talking. So it must be visible.
Yes, I can see it very clearly now. Yeah.
Perfect, fine. Just great, amazing. So I see a lot of people who have joined, and so that's great. Perfect, everyone. Good afternoon, and I welcome you all on this session wherein we are going to discuss a lot of things, especially how does CFA feel, or how does it feel to enter into one of the most renowned, globally renowned courses of finance when you come from a background which is not from finance, right? For example, you may be pursuing some stream of commerce, some stream of science, some stream of literature, right? Where you are now inclined towards the world of finance and you realize that, okay, CFA is a very good entry point when you want to enter this world of capital market or the fascinating profiles, right? For which CFA is one of the most attractive opportunities, as you all see now. Perfect, guys. So we see a lot of you guys. So just again, Sushil, are you here? These guys can chat, right?
Yeah, definitely. So you guys can drop in your questions over here. I will
Okay.
also be having a very interesting question answer session at the end of the session. So you guys can wait for that as well if you want to, and we can take it from there as well. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So guys, I would again have a request, a very small one. Can you all please quickly drop in two information about yourselves? First, you need to write down your qualification, for example, pursuing BCom or MBA or whatever. And second, you just need to type down if you're a fresher, or if you're working, you can put in the profile you're working for. People, requesting responses, please. Okay. So we have someone, how should I pronounce your name? That is Mihir Singh, who's a mechanical engineer. Amazing. Ravi Gupta, working with MNC. Okay, cool. Ravi, which profile are you working for? So Abhishek is pursuing graduation from an ISM. Then we have computer science engineering background, Naveen, who want to give CFA level 1 for November 23. Amazing. Perfect, Naveen. Then others requesting a response. If you can just type down which course are you pursuing. So we have Gurmeet, who is BSc non-medical and a mutual fund distributor. Great. So Robert pursuing CA. Okay. Then we have Dhanu pursuing BCom final. So as I see a lot of you guys coming from diverse background, and this is again interesting in itself, reason being, see, people who belong to core finance, when they pursue CFA, it's good. But when you guys attempt to do it, when you guys have intentions and I would say ambitions to pursue such courses, this in itself becomes appreciable. So we have Abhishek, who is an accounting professional. Okay. Working with UHG and now on to move to core finance school. Bhavesh, BTech, food technology. Okay. You come with experience of almost 3 years. Now I want to start your career in finance. Perfect. So this is the webinar which is exactly going to answer the situation or the problems which you guys face, wherein we will especially talk about like how can we pursue CFA? Like, is it difficult or it's manageable or it's actually not difficult at all? As compared to the guys who belong to commerce stream, obviously, who have their base already built, especially in their 11th and 12th standard, and then during the graduation to build the base of commerce. Perfect, people. So let me quickly start with a quick introduction of myself, and then I'll take you ahead. So my name is Adish, and I am a chartered accountant and a chartered financial analyst. So 2016, I completed my CA and I also started to pursue CFA after which I could complete in 2019. During this tenure of pursuing CFA, I also started to work with corporate. So 2 years, like 1 year in each of the companies, ICICI Securities and Morgan Stanley, I worked with into the profile of equity research. And I hope those who are trying to pursue and want to enter this field of finance, they would know, or they would at least, they must have at least heard what equity research would be. People, please, can I say so? Are you guys aware what equity research is? A very few. Perfect, fine. Great. Then after working with the corporate for 2 years, I decided to give a new track or new way to my career, and I started to train students. So I teach CA final students. So in CA final, where we have this subject called as financial management, we call it as SFM. So I teach that. I obviously teach CA students, CFA students, as Sushil mentioned with Zell, and I take training session on financial modeling. Perfect. So in this webinar where we discuss, I will try to answer your question or guide you or help you with the information from every perspective, right? From the theoretical one, from the curriculum perspective, from the perspective of the opportunities available in the market. From any perspective, from all these perspectives, I mean, you'll be able to get that information. So starting with, sir, in a layman's language, let me guide you. If you talk about CFA, the curriculum has been very beautifully designed in an organized manner such that anyone who know the very basic of finance, the very basic of commerce, is in position to start with CFA. If you look at the books of CFA Level 1 curriculum, so for those who actually don't know anything about CFA, let me tell you, CFA has 3 levels, level 1 to 3. After clearing the level 3, obviously with some few formalities, you are eligible to get the degree. We officially call it you're eligible to get the chartered. So if I talk about the first level, which is level 1 curriculum, it is designed to explain the things right from the basics, right from the scratch, to anyone who understand some very basic or the core of commerce or finance. So now the question is, obviously, sir, we as a student, we have never read in our classrooms of 11th, 12th or graduation about the accounts. We don't know what a balance sheet, profit and loss account is. We don't know what debit and credit is. We don't know what is the present value, future value, compounding, discounting. Perfect. And let me tell you, these are not something, this is not something rocket science which you can't crack it at your own. It may be a matter of, say, few hours wherein you'll be get these concepts at very basic level, and which is what is in fact needed for CFA. So let me take you through how do you build the basics. If you want to start with CFA, where we don't come from a finance background, the basics starts with understanding the terminologies. Everyone, please. A lot of time, there are a few terminologies, the basic ones. So basic, for example, what is an asset? What is a liability? What is an equity instrument? What is dividend, right? Well, I must say, in this world where you see a lot of influencers, right? The financial influencers around you on Instagram, on LinkedIn, I don't think there would be even a single person left using these platforms who won't know what dividend is, right? With the help of content creation, I would say each one of us now understand what an SIP is, what is a compounded annual growth rate, right? CAGR, what is all these basic terminology, what is valuation, everything, right? And especially after, I would say, web series or the TV programs like Shark Tank, people have been made aware about the business side of the things as well, right? Anyone who's watching is able to understand or relate to a lot of things despite not being from a finance background. So these two things, especially the content which is there on the social media and the television, has actually helped a lot. Perfect. Despite it's extremely needed to work on the basic terminologies, right? Which is which I believe would be a cakewalk. So if you look at the basics of science and the basics of commerce, I must say the basics of commerce is extremely easy for someone who comes with the basics of science, because science in itself is a matter of uh, higher intellect, right? Obviously, that if I have to talk about commerce, commerce is primarily common sense, to be frank, everyone, right? Science is an advanced level of thinking, thought process, where commerce, the basics that try to build is relatively based on common sense. So it's very important to be able to, first of all, work upon a few terminologies. Sir, which are the sources from which we are able to build these terminologies? So there are various multiple ways. First, to start it in an organized manner, first way would be go through a few pages of the 11th and 12th curriculum books. You must be finding it uninteresting, but it's not even a matter of 2-3 days. In just a matter of 3 days, you will be able to know all the relevant terminologies that are needed to be known for a commerce background student, right? Obviously, faculties at Zell and the counselors at Zell guide you with respect to everything, like what books can you refer, what things you should be watching. So referring to books will be the first point where you can start in an organized manner. Along with that, obviously, as I said, in this world of content creation, you will find a lot of finance podcast, you will find a lot of YouTube videos, right? Or maybe other articles, which also LinkedIn posts, especially, which help you understand these basic terminologies. Okay, this is again building the basics. Third, there are applications, a lot of them, where you can do paper trading, everyone. So obviously, when you want to trade in the real world on the stock exchange, it comes with understanding of financial market. It comes with some analytical skills, either technical or fundamental, right? Because that involves money being invested, which is on stake. Whereas we have applications, a lot of dummy ones, which helps you trade like a real world, right? But that obviously, everyone, is paper trading, which you can start with to gain further understanding about the markets and the sense of investments, the risk related to the investments, the return you can generate on the investments. This is people using the applications to be able to see. In all the above places, you might be able to just reading the things, not knowing it, not doing it. But when you make use of those applications and do the trading, the paper trading, which is just like the real world trading, obviously you get a sense of what you have learned, you are able to relate to what you're doing. And this is obviously, I would say, more than a passion or more than an addiction than what you actually learn. So you must be wondering, though, okay, we will now need to learn to execute them. Let me tell you, once you start using this application, they will be more of a that will be more of an interesting task as compared to reading the stuff. Yes. Then everyone, it's important to also understand the market, right? Which is again comes with the experience, with the discussions that happen in the CFA classes, right? But if you're able to track the market, if you're able to discuss the markets with people around you, if you're able to know what's happening in the market through the news, through the videos, through the articles, it will somewhere obviously help you to level up yourselves. In fact, let me tell you, if you do this, I can give you this assurance that you will very soon, just after 2 months of these efforts, you will very soon be beating the students who come from pure commerce background. Because what even I have learned as a student, that was pure theoretical. And that's what being taught in 11th, 12th graduation. Whereas if you are able to work on these things in a consistent manner, these will not just make you guys understand the concepts, the basics, but also make you guys make you guys understand the things which are even related to the practical world. We know, we read the leverage ratio in 11, 12, that how much is the debt relative to equity, debt to equity. But when you read this news of what's happening to Adani and how much is his leverage and how is it affecting its credit ratings, then you're able to relate that leverage ratio to what's happening in the real world. And that's permanent learning. What we learned was only through imagination that, okay, there must be something called as debt to equity. Now you relate to and you know that its implication on the valuation of a company and wealth of an individual. You know how much has his wealth eroded by now, correct? Just because of one research report, which is based primarily, obviously a lot of factors, but primarily leverage, the debt he has taken, right? So again, to be more actively involved in the CFA curriculum and to level up your understanding preparation of CFA at par or even at higher with the students who come with core commerce background, it's very important that you track the market movements. You track what's happening in the market and try to relate it with the news events. For example, when RBI come up with the news of increase in repo rate, what happens? When there's a news of Russia-Ukraine war, what happens? When there's this news of research report on the Adani, what is the impact on the stock? When, for example, what else? When there's this news of that Tata Motors has got one of the largest orders of electronic vehicles from Uber, what is the impact on its stock? So when you're able to relate the news with the market movements, that's where you have started to be better than where you stand. And even let me tell you, when you do this, it will really be an application of what you learn in CFA. So when we take sessions in class at Zell, for example, in the Zell CFA, in CFA Level 1 curriculum, we have this concept of, let me relate to it. Concept of bonds, which are a type of debentures, right? For those who are not able to understand what bonds are, you can relate to it with FD for now, bank FD. So just like you can invest in the FDs with bank, you can also invest in the bonds with the companies. Perfect. How are bonds issued? So even government issues the bond. You can invest in the bonds of government. A lot of you people who must be active on the social media reels and everything would have heard a lot of people talking about sovereign gold bonds. If I'm not mistaking the names, where government issues you the bonds based on gold, right? What is the implication of that bond? What is the implication on that bond of the interest rate change in the market? If RBI changes the repo rate, what is the implication on that bond? That is what we were in general discussing. So we were just discussing in the classroom the impact on the interest rate change on a bond. And the very next day, coincidentally, the market repo rate increased by 25 basis points, I think the latest news. And there was this news article in the newspaper which stated how has the bond market impacted because of this increase. And that I shared with the students, on which student discussed, and I realized that when you are actually going through these things while studying CFA, it somewhere levels up not just your preparation from exam perspective. That is obvious, that's given. But with that, you evolve yourself in such a manner that when you sit in front of the interviewer, you're also able to explain him the things with the instance, with the examples, and with confidence, right? That's what happens when you're able to track the real world thing and connect it with CFA level. And this is of further use to us as non-finance background students, where we need to put in some additional effort, right? As we have talked about different applications available, then comes the concept of, then comes the another factor, which is industry analysis. So a lot of times you need to know what's happening in the industry, right? For example, let me take one example is the consumer vehicles companies like Maruti Suzuki and what's happening to them. But let me find out in another one. Let's take this industry of online payments, everyone. Again, if you are active on LinkedIn or YouTube or the other places where you find the shorts and reels, you would know that UPI industry in India is excelling, right? What has UPI to do with other online payment services, right? For example, Paytm, for example, other card services like MasterCard and all, right? So once you start to read about an industry, that what's happening to the online payment industry, you are able to better relate the things that you read in CFA curriculum. Because in the CFA curriculum, there is this particular topic and a particular subject which make you guys understand the concept of economics, which will make you guys understand before you invest in a stock, you need to understand the industry. There's no point of investing in Airtel if you don't understand how does the telecom look in India. There's no point of investing in Cipla if you don't know how does the pharma industry looks like in India, right? Which is very important and also doable when you start CFA. Again, a few more important things that a lot of time it does happen that not everyone is able to think about every aspect of finance, right? Which is why the concept of study groups, of discussion forums, or CFA events come in, where if you discuss with your friends, with your connections, with your networks, the things happening in the real world, if you discuss with them the concepts that you learn in CFA level 1 curriculum, it's a mutual exchange of knowledge. When you study alone, you will be able to know, or you'll be able to gain the knowledge based on how much you can think. But when you discuss, the dimensions of learning opens up. When you think, you maybe think about two things. When he thinks, your friend thinks personally, individually, he might be able to think about two further things. But when both of you think together, you will add 10 more dimensions to your thought, your knowledge. You will discuss the what ifs, you will discuss what not and why. Please, that's what the benefit you get when you study in study groups, when you engage yourself in the discussion forums, or you become the parts of the events which CFA or CFA Institute organizes. Again, this helps you to level up your learnings. So I am continuing throughout this webinar to make you guys understand that it's very good opportunity for people who come from science background. The reason I say that is a lot of my friends who work in core engineering background, but obviously they end up somehow working in the domains of finance, right? If you look at the revenues of TCS, everyone, if you look at the revenue of TCS, that how much of TCS or Infosys revenue comes from BSFI domain? Like how much of TCS client in percentage terms are the clients of finance industry? It may be a bank, it may be a mutual fund, it may be some other service provider of finance. Majority, obviously not majority, like majority, when I say majority is in of all the domains, the biggest chunk of the revenue for TCS, for Infosys, or for IT industry in general comes from BFSI segment. When I say BFSI, I hope all of you are able to relate, people. Banking, financial services, insurance. So even if you are in an engineering background or some science background, if your job profile is related to something related to finance, CFA is going to be of help. And the reason I discuss that with a lot of intensity is that after this webinar, everyone, you'll be one step closer to what? To start pursuing CFA. Because I've seen this. There's just one line of difference between I want to do CFA and I am doing CFA. There's this a small line of difference. And the line that is just deciding that, okay, I need to start now. The process of thinking, it might take a month or 2 or 3, where you might not be able to keep it as a priority. Please understand, when you have decided that, okay, I'm doing it, it becomes a priority, it becomes a mission type of a thing. It becomes an ambition that I need to make it up, because I know that after I become a CFA, the things around me will entirely change. The company you work with, the type of people you interact to, the profile you are in, and obviously the pay you will be getting out of the work you do, out of the job you do, will be entirely different. So when you are here today, let's make sure that we are able to, like, you have all your queries resolved. You have ensured that no doubt is left unsolved. no queries are left unsolved, and you have made a clear mind to start CFA as early as possible. Because let me tell you, whenever you decide, it will still take some 8-9 months when you'll be able to give the exams. Even if you decide now, we will be best ready by November at earliest to be able to appear for it, which is why. So you feel that, oh, it's too early. But if you decide today, we will start the preparation, you will need some time to self-prepare, and then the exam will be there in November, right? Which is where I say it's important to start now so that we are able to appear the exam in November, because that will be just level 1. Then a gap of say approximately 6 months, then level 2, and then level 3. 2 years from now, things will be entirely different. And that you'll vouch for yourself, and you must be vouching it for yourself if you scroll to the people around you, the network around you on LinkedIn, especially, right? What you need to do. So let's talk about what you need to do, and then we'll talk about what we will do at Zell. What you need to do, you know what? Commitment to be consistent, to give in extra hours. If you are committed that I'll be consistent enough, I'll be disciplined enough to be able to give extra hours, then obviously no skill, no luck can beat the hard work. If you can do that hard work of extra hours, obviously there's no skill needed to beat that. People come from any background and crack CFA at level 1 because it's not about what you already know. As I said, what people already know, the commerce background people, can be known by you in a period of say 15 days. You come to the same level. That's all, right? You should be focusing on your weakness. For example, you know now that when I come from science background, you may be more confident on the quants. You may be more confident on the statistics part. You may be more confident on the application of statistics, that, okay, what is regression, what is correlation and all. If that is your strength, you may not be needed to work on that. But there may be few topics, for example, FSA, which talks about assets and liabilities, which talks about the methods of depreciation. That may be your weakness. So can't we just put in some extra effort, focus on that especially, to make sure that the base that we build is strong, which will not just help us to clear the level 1, but also be there with us for level 2 and 3, right? And with some practice, it's 100% doable by the students like us as well. If you don't come with a base with commerce or finance, right? Now, the training, the way you guys have been trained is again very important. Before we start the classes, we'll have the pre-learning, wherein you have been guided, you have been also trained about what approach should you guys study with, where you have been also given some lectures, either in a recorded form, where you have been taught some basics of finance which are applicable to all the subjects, where you have been made aware of the basic terminologies of finance, right? Then using the study material, which is again very organized, very detailed, step to step, using the illustrations and examples which are there in the books, which again, I would say, which make the concept crystal clear. You learn the concept is fine, but when you look at an illustration of it, you are more confident, or you have a better clarity in the mind of that concept. And using the cheat sheets, I would say the flashcards or the notes that you create for yourself, right? This approach of training will help you get through CFA level 1. And obviously, once you crack CFA level 1, you won't even need, or you won't even have the same questions that you have today in your mind that, oh, can me or can I go for CFA? After you crack level 1, you will yourself get this clarity and confidence about whether you are made for CFA or not. An answer for almost every one of you is going to be yes, that okay, now I'm done with level 1, and with two more levels I'll be done with entire CFA, having this designation with your name, right? So that was a quick discussion of how should we be approaching for CFA? The intent was to give this clarity so that none of our doubts or dilemmas are left unsettled. We need to settle down everything and make sure that we start with this preparation as early as possible. When you start with a target, it's always achievable. Having a random thought of, okay, I want to do CFA is vague. When you say that I want to do CFA and also clear it in November 23, that's where you come up with a mission and with an objective, and then you work for it in that manner. Vague goals are not achievable. Goals are to be defined. So now it's in your hand. When do you want to define it and work? Guys, and you guys are all free to ask whatever questions you want to ask. So Shil, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you here?
So I think it was really a great proper insight, actually, to be honest, from point to point on what exactly does a student go through or student has to do, right? From being a non-commerce or a commerce background. I think this is a great confusion, right? A lot of people out of the commerce background come to us saying, how can we go about it and all of that. And the points that you covered specifically stating where, there are a lot of things which actually get you science background students might get help from, right? So
Yeah.
that's really a good insight, because most of us don't know that there is that much of in depth in it, right? And also a few things where we can come up with our own weaknesses and do it. So
Yes.
it was a great insight. So guys, I think I would want you to know what exactly to do next, right? So Adish was saying that there is pre-learning, you have to do a bit of notes and stuff. So I'll take you a little deeper into that part, right? I'll just share my screen quickly.
Yeah, I'll stop the share.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So what exactly do you do, right? So coming to what we do at Zell, the first thing is, like Adi said, is pre-learning. Okay, pre-learning means we give you pre-recorded videos and reading material so that you can understand what exactly is there in the course, right? Like Adi said, you want to know what's there, what is the difficulty. A lot of times what happens with students is they see, okay, equity superb, it's something that really interests me. There is derivatives, options, futures, I have traded in them. So all of this is, yes, one side of it, that's your interest, but exactly what is there in it, what is the depth of it, what is the difficulty of it, that gives you a very clear understanding on how to go about it, right? With that, you understand exactly what is the difficulty that you are going to face as a person, right? Like he said, a student might face difficulty in equity sometimes, and a student might face difficulty in quant sometimes, right? It doesn't mean everybody has the same difficulty. It changes from person to person, and that's where your pre-learning helps, right? Also, that there was a point where Adish mentioned that if the goal has just been thought about, it's a vague goal, right? A lot of times what I have seen with my students is, during this 1-2 months time period where they are just thinking about the course, they get a lot of perspective about it from outside, which honestly doesn't need to be right. uh, your thought about should I do something, should I pursue, is very important, and for that you need to analyze on your own on what should be the parameters, right? Is it doable by me? Is it tough for me? Is it easy for me? Is it time taking? Do I have the time to do it? Are the important questions that you should be asking yourself, right? And that's where the important point that you need to start somewhere comes in. So most of our students, what we suggest them is start with the training first. During this period, now if you see, Adish mentioned that you can go for the November 23 attempt this year. The whole point of it is that if you're going for the November attempt this year, the registrations are open until May. So by May, that is in the next 2 months, you can understand exactly, are you able to write the May attempt? November attempt. If not, then you can go for the February attempt, right? So that decision can be taken later on. It depends on the speed of your studies. It depends on how quickly you take it and how quickly you can remember it, or practice it, right? That changes from person to person. If I'm right, a working class person and a student might have totally different ways to study or learn new things, right? So that is where we come in. Okay. So at Zell, we give you a personalized level of training. Okay. For example, like I said, the pre-learning will give you exactly what to do. Then your live interactive classes will start where we have divided it into three parts based on what we see is the usual groups of students like. Someone needs a daily continuous push, daily studies. If they don't study every day, if we don't ask them to study every day, they won't be able to study or they won't be studying. So for those kind of students, we have a batch. For the students who are busy during the weekdays, like, who are good enough, who can easily pick it up, who know already a lot of stuff, can go for the weekend classes. A student who is already doing well, like they know everything, they are already in the analysis field, they know what exactly to do, can go for the light batch as well, where you don't need to study, right? Where you don't need to actually attend classes. I don't mean not study, but not attend classes is not required for that kind of a student who's expert, right? So we have distributed and given you the right solution for what is required for you. And to understand that aspect better, you can actually reach out to our experts. They can help you out to understand which category do you fall under, what kind of preparation modules you should be using, right? And stuff. Now, over here, if you look at it, the basic stuff, which is tests and mocks, we give you the learning management system and 300 hours of integrated learning. I'll tell you what this means. Now, over here, it can be connected with the last point, which is one-on-one mentorship. Now, what is this mentorship? What we do is we first understand your category as far as what kind of student you are and what should be the probable solution for you to study. Now, based on the best possible solution, we give you that and you can start studying with us. Eventually, once you are ready to give the exam, like I said, should you give the exam in May or should you give the exam in November or should you go for the February attempt? Is decided based on this mentorship, based on your tests, based on your study patterns, based on your marks, based on your self belief. You can decide with your mentor to go for November or to February. If you feel that you are a little slower in studies, you're still finding it difficult to study, it possibly means that you just need a little more time to study, right? So for that, then your mentor can suggest you to take a longer revision period, a longer self-study period to get to the exams, right? So that is called a one-on-one mentorship, and that's why the 300 hours of integrated learning come into the play, right? So that is the main basics about what we do at Zell. Here are a few things like the interactive content. We give you a proper LMS platform, which is a mobile app as well as available on the laptops to use. You can go through the interactive notes to study through it. We can give you physical set of books as well. Like I said, the three set of different batches that we have at Zell. One for the students, that is the weekdays for students who require that daily attention, daily coaching right from the grassroots level, and hand-holding experience is for the weekdays. Weekends are more of that self-proficient, self-efficient people who can take classes on the weekend and study by themselves on the weekdays. Then there is a self-paced. It was thought about for the foreign students, the students abroad who are studying with Zell. Also, the students who are already doing well in their education can pick this up as well, who don't have time at all, right? Now, I think I just covered the overall thought. Like I just completed what Adish was trying to say with what is exactly needed to be done, right? I have displayed the fee structures over here on the page, but I think I'd want to listen to a few questions from your end before we go to the fee structure and the other bit of it, right? So, Adish, want to take some questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's have their queries solved.
Sure. Okay. So let's start with the chat box. I can see a uh, few questions over here. Okay. So Gurmeet Singh Ahuja can spare max 2 hours in a weekday and 3 hours at the weekend. Okay, he was telling about the study pattern, I think. Gurmeet Singh said, "What's the good basic graduation for CFA?" I'm asking for my son who's good, who is in metric. So, Gurmeet, I'm assuming when metric means 10th standard. So, you can go ahead with any degree. The bachelor's in finance works well. A bachelor's in commerce also is a good option. A lot of students come from BCom background. So, if you feel that is good enough, it's good. Preferably, there is no specific. If Adish wants to state something else, we can definitely hear him out. Adish?
Yeah. So as you must be knowing, Gurmit, that one can start to pursue CFA from the second year of graduation. If I'm not, Sushil, am I correct on this?
Correct, correct. So the
Yeah.
eligibility says that they can start pursuing from the second year of the graduation. If it's a 3-year graduation, although if it's a 4-year graduation, it starts from the third year.
Perfect, right? Which means, as Sushil said, any graduation degree, right, in the field of commerce or finance would be enough, because that would more or less be on the same path of understanding the basic that CFA wants to teach. Okay.
Got it, got it. Okay. So, okay, I think there was a question. As I told, I am pursuing computer science engineering. Naveen says, I am in third year. Can I register for both CFA Level 1 November exam and Investment Foundation Certificate exam? Okay, can help me provide knowledge during my campus placements. Okay. Naveen, it is a really great thought that you thought about the campus placements with the level 1 certificate, right? A lot of students who come for MBA, like they're going to prepare for MBA and stuff, also think about it from the same perspective. They say that, let me do one thing, let me get level 1 cleared before I do go for my interviews, college interviews, right? That helps me to be better than the other peers in my college itself straight away. So yes, your thought process is right. However, right now the foundation certificate is not available for individuals, it's for the corporate. So directly if a corporate wants to take the program for 200 employees, it's open. It gets open only once in a year for all the candidates, although it's not right now. But however, it's not necessary to do the investment foundation from CFA for any individual. You can start from CFA level 1 and get it done by November if you start right now. So for November, we are at the edge of starting studying, right? We have already started around 2 weeks ago for our students. So at this point, you should be starting for November and then going ahead with your placements and stuff. That will definitely help you out. Okay, Naveen? Right. We can't clear level 1. Okay, Veer says, sir, suppose if we can't clear level 1 on the first attempt, then for second attempt, again, fees will. Yes, Veer, you would have to pay the fees again for level 1 if you don't clear the exam in the first attempt. And yeah, that's where your thought process on which attempt to go for and critically analyzing each and every point on where you are right now is very necessary. Yeah.
Sushil, I want to add something to this.
Sure, sure. Please, please.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. So there are two types of fees when you appear for an exam. One is registration fees and then second is exam fee. So registration fees, so far as I understand, is a one-time thing, whereas the exam fee is of repetitive nature. Am I right on this, Sushil?
Correct, correct. Exactly.
So, Veer, for example, you ended up paying, say, just a random number, 80,000 for level 1. And if you're not able to clear it, second time, you won't have to pay the entire 80 again. Some portion of 80 that you paid initially was towards the registration. Second time, you'll have to pay only in the exam fees for it. How exactly? For that, you can go through the CFA website, or maybe Sushil would be able to help you. Sushil, I think CFA website would be a better place, right? For him to.
So we can also help you out on that. You can reach out to our counselors, and then they can help you with that for sure. I'll just put the number on the board for you guys. Yeah. So you guys can go through this. You can call us and you can get help, or else you can go to the CFA website, like Adi said. Both the options are open. Okay. Going to the next question. I'm not very good at maths, Anushri is saying, but very well know the accounts. What effect will that have on CFA? Adish, can you answer this question?
Yeah. So let me tell you. Anushri, as I said, the world of finance is more about common sense and less about technicalities. And I'm saying that. So I don't say that with a limited experience. I have experience of having this qualification of CA and CFA, and having worked in the equity research with MNCs, and then teaching experiences of these two courses. And with all that known to me, I say that with confidence that CFA, and primarily CFA, because it's course of analytics, as the word says, chartered financial analyst, right? So whenever it's a matter of analysis, it's not maths, it's about having common sense. So for you to be able to enter into CFA, you don't need to have your math strong, but you need to have first two things is strong. Two things very strong. First, common sense is needed to be extremely strong. You must be wondering that why do we do it? Why do we say that to be common? It's actually common to everyone. No, that's not the case. You should be able to think is very much needed. And with that, analytical skills are very much needed, which obviously are evolved as you start to pursue the CFA curriculum, right? As you start to pursue CFA course, right? So maths doesn't play a big role for you to be good in CFA. Yes, please. That's all, Sashil.
Okay, great. I hope that was very clear, Anushri. Okay, going ahead, there is a student asking if should I register for the exam first and then start getting classes. So very simple question over here. As I mentioned before, you should start studying before, analyze what is your strength and weaknesses, how much time is it going to take for you, and how much time you should be spending, is it possible or not, etc., and then go about the examination. So I think the question ka simple answer is first start studying and then go and register for the exam with our guidance. Yeah. Okay, how much time do CFA Institute takes to reply to a mail? I wrote a mail regarding payment for my registrations. I'm so sorry, Naveen, but I think they take a little bit longer to respond. But yeah, they will. And I think they have toll-free numbers as well. You can call on those numbers as well. Yeah. Okay. Banu Priya has asked, for investment foundation course, won't they provide a certificate after completion? They do provide a certificate after completion. However, it's a very small program. It takes only 1 month to prepare and get done with it. I guess I'm right, Adish?
So Sushil, I'll apologize for this because I am not aware of the timeline for this course, as in the duration it takes.
Got it. So one of the other members at Zell, he was doing this investment foundation. According to him, it took 1 month for preparation, 1 month to write the exam. There was a deadline date for it. So approximately 2 months for it to get done. Okay. Jay Rathod, my English is a little weak. Please some tips. So Jay, it's very simple. In our classes at Zell, automatically, like faculties like Adish, they continuously talk in English, they teach you in English. So automatically that's one of the sources where our students learn English from, right? I always, while counseling students, believe in one thing very strongly, that when you were born, you were not learn, you did not know the language, right? You learned only by listening it. So that's how that's the best way to learn any language, and our faculties would be able to help you in that process in a very simple manner. And we'd also request you to talk in the class in English so that your conversations also get better. Yeah.
So I just want to add a small thing, Chai, especially for you. When you start to prepare for CFA, learning English will be a byproduct to you. And you won't even focus on it. You would, after clearing CFA, realize that automatically you've also learned English. Okay, that will be a byproduct for you. That will be a bonus, I want to say, for you.
Correct. Okay. Yashwant says, I'm currently in the second year. When should I go for the exam? So Yashwant, if you're in the BCom degree, which is a 3-year degree, or any other three-year degree, you're already eligible to write the exam. So you should be starting to study now so that your level 1 gets done within the college time period, right? So that will be the easiest way to go about it, because right now as a college student, you might have more time as compared to after being graduated. Okay. Right. So Reed asks, sir, is CFA itself a good degree to get job, or we want to do MBA? So, okay, super. So MBA plus CFA, a very interesting question. Actually, I think we didn't touch base on that topic. I'll give a very simple explanation. See, guys, MBA and CFA is a very powerful combination together. When I say that, it means that in CFA, you're learning the technical aspects of finance, right? And in MBA, you're learning the management part of it, right? So what happens is when you're studying or when you're going for a job, you start from the technical side of it and eventually become a manager, right? So an MBA degree comes into play and gives you a little bit boost, gives you the extra benefit in terms of management, and that's why your growth becomes faster, right? So it's a good, very powerful combination. And to be honest, if you're not even doing MBA, it doesn't really affect the growth that you can get with CFA. Although at this point in India, you need to do those degrees, MBA degree from a top tier college. Only then it makes sense, right? You have to get it from an IIM, etc., to be to see what kind of difference it makes with MBA. Adish, I think you have really great points on MBA and CFA. I think you can shed light some on a few points on those.
Yeah. So I would want to add is that, see, primarily, I should explain it as, if you are pursuing CFA, then you are already pursuing something that holds a good value in job market in India and across the globe. Now, along with CFA, if you think that MBA will also add some value, or I should add MBA to it, in that case, MBA has to be only from tier 1 college. That if you're a CFA and IIM, if you're a CFA and say for international university, say INSEAD, then obviously you are an amazing combination. Okay, but if you are a CFA and then also plan to do MBA, which is from a university which is tier 2 or tier 3 university, then it makes no sense, because you already hold something which is of higher value and importance, and obviously knowledge. I think, am I able to convey the point I'm trying to?
Yeah, correct.
So in which case, which is why, if you are already doing MBA, which is not from a tier 1 college, then obviously you should be doing CFA will add value to it. But if you are already doing CFA and then plan to do MBA from a tier 2, 3 college, then you should think if that is actually going to add value. And if you are doing CFA and wants to do MBA from say tier 1 college, business schools in India, then obviously you must be going for it. Okay.
Right. Veer, I hope we cleared your question. You can respond on the chat if your question is cleared, right? And I guess we have answered all the question. There was one, Gurmeet, I think you can, sir, reach out to us if you want help regarding your son's education. We can help you out on that. Our number, as I said, is on the screen. So you can just take a note of it and call us anytime. Our experts will be able to help you on a level 1 basis. Yeah. Okay, done. Any other questions, guys? Please give us a feedback. How was the webinar? How was it? You can type it down on the chat. Okay. Until then, I think it was great having you here, Adish. Thank you so much for shedding light so much about the technical aspects and of learning CFA. I hope most of the students who are going to join Zell will definitely look up to you when they are coming to study with you. So great having you.
Even I'll be thankful to you, Sushil, and the entire Zell team to give this opportunity to be here in front of the students who in itself are self-motivated, because when they come here to know something which beyond, like to get their career beyond, right? Then obviously, even I'm lucky to interact with these guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Glad to have you here. Okay, done, guys. So you can drop a question, anything else over here. Please give us some feedback, and you can definitely reach out to us. Gurmeet, the weekend timings would be based on the batches, so please reach out to us on call. We'll definitely help you out. Yeah. Okay. So someone has asked how many months. So it takes only 8 to 9 months to prepare for one attempt on an average. It might take a little longer for a student who is taking more time. Okay, guys, glad having you here. I'm waiting here for 5 more minutes. You can note down the number until then, and then we can see you over the calls. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Sushil.
Thank you. Harish. Bye.
Yeah, yeah.